Hi everyone, so today I'll be presenting the solutions from section 3 of practice test 1 in the official SAT study guide. So the first question reads, if x minus 1 over 3 is equal to k, what is the value of x? So basically this is, and also if k is equal to 3, which is a key factor here. So here I'm going to basically just substitute in 3 for k. And so it's going to be x minus 1 over 3 is equal to 3. And so if I multiply both sides of the equation by 3 to remove 3 from the denominator, I get x minus 1 is equal to 9. And so if I add 1 to both sides of the equation to remove the negative 1 from this side of the equation, I get x is equal to 10. And so this matches with your answer choice D. So D is your correct answer for number 1. Moving on to question number 2. It reads that when I is equal to square root of negative 1, what is the sum of 7 minus 3i plus negative 8 plus 9i? So here the first thing to do would be just to simplify whatever's in the parentheses, and there is no negative side outside of the parentheses, so there's going to be no sign change within the parentheses. So it's going to be 7 minus 3i minus 8 plus 9i. And so I'm going to kind of group the factors that are i's together and group the whole numbers together. So 7 minus 8 is going to be giving you negative 1, and negative 3i, positive I, 3i, which is actually, it was actually given as positive 3i, so my mistake. 3i plus 9i is going to give you 12i. So there you have it. So your answer choice is A, which matches with this, and therefore A is your correct answer for number 2. And moving on to question number 3. So it's basically saying that Armand sent M text messages each hour for 5 hours, and Tyrone sent P text messages each hour for 4 hours. And it's basically asking you to represent the total number of messages sent by both Armand and Tyrone. And so this is and it gives you a series of various kind of equations. And so let's pretend like M and P weren't variables and we were to substitute them. So let's just say M were equal to 1 and P were equal to 2. So if Armand sent one text message every hour for 5 hours, that would be basically 5 times 1 is equal to 5. And if Tyrone were to send 2 text messages every hour, you'd say, okay, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 would be 4 times 2 is equal to 8. So it would basically be the number of hours multiplied by the number of text messages per hour added to the other person's number of hours multiplied by the text messages sent per hour. And so that's going to be, if I were to substitute in M for 1 and P for the 2, these two imaginary numbers that I just kind of substituted in, that would give you 5M plus 4P. And so that seems to match to your answer choice C. So C is your correct answer choice for number 3. So moving on to number 4, basically it's asking you what is the meaning of the value of 108 in the equation where P is equal to 108 minus 23D. And it's saying that P is the number of phones left and D is the number of days that she's worked that particular week. And so basically she's fixing a certain number of phones, and this number of phones that are left to fix at the end of each day can be estimated with this particular equation. So to understand an equation, I'm going to kind of draw a graph of it. And so P is your Y value here, so P, and D is kind of acting as your X value here. So P is the number of phones left to repair, and D is the number of days that she's kind of been fixing the phones. And so the thing is this is kind of acting as your y-intercept, and this is acting as your slope. So one thing important to note is that this is a linear equation, and here the slope is negative, so I'm going to be drawing a downwards arrow, and kind of the slope is negative 23. And the point at which it's intersecting is 108, and this is what we're looking to kind of define the meaning of. And so now 108, like the nature of the y-intercept is that it is the point 0, 108. So it's at 0 days there are 108 phones. So what does it mean to be at 0 days? This is every week, right? So at the beginning of the week, when no days have passed, you have 108 phones to fix, and it doesn't seem like the number of phones is ever higher than 108. So we know that it's kind of the starting number of phones that we have, and that seems to match with your answer choice B. Kathy starts each week with 108 phones to fix. So there you have it, questions number 1 through 4. So the next question, number 5, is asking us what is equivalent to the expression above. And whenever they ask something like this, they oftentimes want you to simplify it, or the first step would be to simplify this particular equation. So I've rewritten the equation down. X squared y minus 3y squared plus 5xy minus negative x squared y plus 3xy minus 3y squared. And so when you're solving this particular equation, the reason I read it out again was to kind of double check that I've written it down correctly, because that's oftentimes the most common mistake you can make in a problem like this. So first step, expand the parentheses, and there is a sign change that's going to occur in this set of parentheses. So x squared y minus 3y squared plus 5xy squared plus x squared y minus 3xy squared plus 3y squared. So if you could see, I kind of changed each sign for these numbers here because there was a negative sign outside and kind of the negative sign distributed to everything in the parentheses. So make sure to not forget the sign change. Next step would be to look at all of the factors and like kind of try to match the ones with the same types of variables, so or the variables in the same formats. So here you have 2x squared y's, so that's going to be 2x squared y, and I'm going to cancel them as I write them, not because they're gone, but because I just want to make sure that I'm going through this systematically. Then I see a negative 3y squared and a positive 3y squared. But this one actually, these two cancel because it's a negative and a positive of the same magnitude of a number. So those two actually equal to 0. And I'm going to have 5xy squared minus 3xy squared. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So you're going to have a positive 2xy squared. So this is going to give you 2x squared y plus 2xy squared, and so this matches with your answer choice C. So for number 5, C is your correct answer. So moving on to number 6, it's giving you this particular model that a pediatrician uses to estimate the height of a boy in inches in terms of a boy's age in years between the ages of 2 and 5. So based on the model, what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? So basically, if A is given the age in per year, and they're asking for an increase per year, when there is a change of anything in a graph, oftentimes it is attributed to the slope. So for example, the 28.6 is a static number. It's a static kind of number that's given as the estimated height that probably occurs at 0 years for a boy, hypothetically, even though it's used to estimate between the years 2 and 5. So this number cannot represent any kind of change occurring over time. But what is a slope? A slope is the change in y value over the change in x values. So what are the y values? Height over per age. So basically, the slope here, which is the number 3, is representing the change in height per year, which means that as age changes every year. So the slope, number 3, which is your answer choice A, is a good representation of the change per year, and therefore A is your correct answer. So number 7, the next question, it gives you a formula, and it's asking for which of the following answer choices gives P in terms of M, R, and N. So the first thing to do So I'm going to rewrite this equation. And first thing is that don't get sidetracked by how complex this particular this particular problem looks, because you can kind of, in any situation where you have this kind of a complex problem and it's asking you to kind of rearrange the terms, make sure to kind of group terms in your mind and kind of give them a general variable. So what I mean by is that I'm going to kind of treat, I'm looking for p. And so I'm going to kind of treat this entire denominator as an entire section. I'm going to title it A, and this entire denominator, numerator, as B. So I'm going to simplify this entire thing into m is equal to b over a times p. And so the way that works is that I'm going to have to multiply by the reciprocal of b over a on both sides. So multiply by a over b, multiply by a over b. And so that gives me, cancel, a over b times m is equal to p. And so that's giving me p in terms of m, r, and n, because r and n are included in this ab term. So now what I'm going to do is substitute back in a and b and see which of the answer choices match with this answer. So that's going to be 1 plus r over 1 200 to the nth power minus 1 over r over 1 200 plus 1 plus r over 1 200 n. So when I look at my answer choices, it seems as if is equal to p, times n is equal to p, m is equal to p. So it seems like this matches with my answer choice b the best, and therefore b for number 7 is my correct answer. So moving on to number 8, it asks me that if a over b is equal to 2, what is the value of 4b over a? So the first thing to do is they're basically just taking the reciprocal of this particular number a over b and multiplying by 4 and asking for you to solve. So the first thing to do would be to take the reciprocal of both sides of a over b to get b over a. So b over a is equal to the reciprocal of 2, which is 1 over 2. Now the difference between the two of these is that I have to multiply by 4. So multiply both sides by 4. So I get 4b over a is equal to 4 over 2, which is equal to 2. And therefore this matches with your answer choice C. So C is your correct answer for number 8.